California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender, their pronouns. That's the kind of thing, even though it doesn't affect a lot of people, that makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state, how are you?
Well, I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent, to me, does.
California passed a law allowing schools to change students' gender or pronouns without notifying parents. While it affects only a few students, it sparked outrage and became a symbol of overreach. Bill Maher slammed the law, saying teachers should educate, not snitch, on children to their parents. He called it a clear example of government losing touch with common sense, framing the law as a breach of trust that alienates families and ordinary citizens.
Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelinos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was.
On Real Time, Maher went straight at Governor Gavin Newsom, highlighting homelessness, crime, sky-high taxes, and the mass exodus of residents. He painted California as a state in serious decline, with failing leadership and mismanaged programs. Newsom admitted cracks even within the Democratic Party, signaling tension and fragility among progressives. Maher's tone reflected the frustration of a longtime Californian watching his state struggle despite billions in spending and ambitious policies.
In this, I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about, and this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting.
Major cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Oakland are struggling visibly. Tech companies such as Tesla, Oracle, and Hewlett-Packard are leaving, taking employees and families with them. Crime is rampant, forcing stores to lock up basic items. Meanwhile, high taxes and excessive regulations exacerbate the sense of dysfunction. Maher argued that the state's progressive image is increasingly at odds with daily life, where residents navigate unsafe streets, crumbling infrastructure, and empty neighborhoods.
The country is divided into owners and healers. People think you can own the other side. Gavin Newsom owned DeSantis. DeSantis destroyed Gavin Newsom. Or people who want to talk and heal. And I feel like the next president's going to be, at least if it comes from this party, the Democratic Party, someone who wants to talk and heal.
It's important. Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. This notion of cancel culture, you've been living it. You've been on the receiving end of it for years and years and years. That's real. And Democrats need to own up to that. They've got to mature.
Maher questioned Newsom about excessive regulations, like gender-neutral toy departments in large stores. While Newsom defended them as progressive initiatives, Maher argued that such policies distract from real issues: homelessness, housing, crime, and public safety. He also highlighted how middle-class families are squeezed by high taxes yet get little in return, emphasizing that leadership is judged by tangible results, not slogans or symbolic gestures.
Bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff. And then whenever I read 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds. No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds. We grow a boatload of almonds.
I'm well aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Come on, man. Take on Big Almond.
Maher pressed Newsom on homelessness and crime. Programs like Home Key convert hotels into shelters but fail to reduce street homelessness effectively. Viral robberies and looting illustrate daily danger for citizens. Maher's point was clear: compassion without competence is failure. He framed the crisis as a question of accountability, arguing that if the governor cannot fix homelessness with billions of dollars, then who can? Public safety and basic quality of life are non-negotiable.
I feel like the last couple of years you've purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what? Well, but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, oh, this is a blue state and that's a red state. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. This has been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just.
Newsom tried to justify massive water usage for almond production, which requires 1,900 gallons per pound. Maher used the example to show misaligned priorities, questioning whether the government focuses on symbolic or lucrative industries instead of urgent problems like homelessness and crime. Maher's critique framed a bigger question. California's leadership is making decisions out of touch with citizens' daily struggles, undermining trust in the state's progressive ideals.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that. And they're the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know the top priorities are homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and tax.
Maher's takedown wasn't partisan. It was intervention from a liberal calling out a liberal. He stripped away Newsom's polish, exposing homelessness, crime, exodus, and failed programs. The showdown went viral because it resonated across the political spectrum. Maher emphasized that progress requires measurable results, not slogans. California's model, once admired, now serves as a warning. Leadership must deliver competence or risk losing the people it claims to serve. Maher became the voice of a disillusioned Californian demanding truth and accountability.